Okay, what's going on, Brandon? How are you?
Is this the intro?
This is the intro.
This is the intro. I was about to say, I've done the intro plenty of times the past few episodes, so I'm all introed out.
Yeah. We're done.
So we're done. So I'm glad that this is the intro. So what are we talking about today?
We're playing it. We're going kind of more laid back today. We didn't really plan like a formal episode, but we've got a few EV news stories to talk about, as well as a personal story from me. If we want to start with that, if you're interested.
Yeah, I love personal stories. So
not too personal stories, just personal stories.
No, yeah. Keep it professional. No.
Right. So as you know, I work in the EV industry, so I was out testing some chargers today. So we have to, once a station is installed in the ground, we've got to get it commissioned like on our network to make sure it works. So I have to usually go out to the site, or we have somebody go out to the site with an EV so that we can plug it in, basically make sure it's connected to our back end and like charging and all that stuff. So the contractor we were working with has not been good. I basically said, like, I'll go out to the site, like, I'll finish doing everything. All that needed to be done was turn power on the site and, like, basically commission the stations, get them all up and running. So I go out there, turn power on the site. This was yesterday. Turn power on the site. All the stations light up, so they're on, but they're not visible on our back end. So okay. I got them. They weren't even loaded in there. So I, like, loaded them in our system, got them all in there. And they still weren't communicating after we had loaded them in. So I'm like, okay, what's next? I reach out to some of our teams to figure out what's going on. They're like, oh, we don't have the SIM card numbers for these stations. I'm like, okay. So I go back out to the site today and have to disassemble the units essentially because they've already been installed, and find the SIM card number on the inside of the unit.
Oh my god.
So they're two dual port L2 level 2 stations. So there's like two posts and there's a charger on either side essentially. So I like asked for some install manuals because I'm kind of going in blind here of how to like disassemble these, but I've worked with this stuff in the past, so I'm not like completely blind. And get out to the site, and to disassemble them, you need an Allen wrench that is like tucked underneath the station in the worst possible spot. Like it's near impossible to get to.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a contractor, so I don't have all the tools necessary to do this. So I've got this tiny like Allen wrench. It's probably from IKEA, trying to like loosen the station. Yeah. And I cannot get it open just because of the way the Allen wrench was. I was essentially going like 45 degrees at a time, like twisting it just because the space was so tight, twisting it, pulling the Allen wrench back in, trying to like finagle it back in, twisting it again.
Like, can we just talk about how like Allen wrenches are like the worst tool ever?
Oh, they're awful. Yeah. Like there's so many better like bolts out there than Allen wrenches.
Yeah. I feel like anytime I open a package and I'm trying to put something together, I'm like, really? Like another Allen wrench, and on top of it, you have like a collection of them now. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've literally got a box full of them.
This is living electric, not living contracting. So we'll
electric contracting.
Yeah, close enough.
So finally, I was kind of about to give up and like go to the hardware store and get some tools, but luckily I brought a screwdriver with me, and I was able to put just a flathead on there, and it fit into the Allen wrench hole, and it was much easier to like twist than the Allen wrench even was. So I was basically just using a flathead to like unscrew this thing. But it still wasn't seated in there properly, so I had to twist like 3 times for it to spin once out of the socket. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I probably spend like a half hour just trying to get these 2 little screws out so I can pop the hood off this L2 charger. Finally get it done, and I feel bad because there's a guy like not on the line, but like he's texting back and forth with me, like trying to help me undo it, and finally get it popped off. And in the user manual for this unit, there's a picture that says like, okay, here's the module that has the like communication parts in it, like where the SIM card goes, where all this extra stuff goes. I pull up that picture so I can kind of compare it to what I'm seeing live, and that little module is not in there. Like it was never installed, or like it got missed or something like that. And so I text the guy and I'm like, hey, I'm not seeing this module. And I send him a picture and he's like, I'm not seeing it either. So,
oh no.
So I'm like, that's super weird. So we start digging through the manual a little bit more. Apparently these are satellite and gateway setups. So one side is the gateway that actually connects to the network, and the other one is a satellite that just connects to the gateway. So
oh no.
After I'd pop the cover off, I have to go to the other side and do the same, like, now 30-minute process to unscrew it because I don't have the right tools. So I get out. So he's like, yeah, I think it's on the other side. Like, now that I'm reading through this, I'm like, great. So I start unscrewing the other side. I was a little bit quicker on this time because I had done it once already. Had kind of worked out the kinks of how to uninstall it. Pop the cover off. Thank goodness the module's in there that has the SIM card in it. I pull it out, send him a picture of the number, and he's like, yeah, this is one of our SIM cards. We just never got it activated when it was sent out. So I put it back in, and then I leave everything open because I'm like, I don't know what other numbers or things I'll need to pull out of here, so I'm just going to leave it how it is.
Yeah.
This site has 2 charging posts. So there's the one post that I already opened both sides of. So I'm like, okay, they probably did a similar install on the other side, right? It's probably, the SIM card is probably on the same side on the other station. So I go to the other station. I am a little bit even more faster this time to get it popped open. Pop open the same side as the SIM card was on the other side, and it's not on that side.
Oh no.
So the one station was installed, and I don't know why they decided to flip it around and install it backwards on the other one, but it wasn't on that side. So I then I am this now the speediest I have been at unscrewing these things. I popped the other side off, and thank goodness that has the SIM card in it.
Yeah.
But I was able to like get it all figured out and found the SIM card. So both the SIM card numbers are in, and we're hopefully getting those like up and running tomorrow. So, but then I had to spend another like half hour, or it was probably closer to like 15 minutes, putting all these screws back in because they were all disassembled at this point.
Yeah.
But eventually got them all buttoned back up and turned power back on. So it's like, my goodness. Yeah, so not going to dox anybody, but EV, like, think about, if you're manufacturing EV hardware, like, think about serviceability and repairability. Like, that's a huge part of EV charging. So
Yep. Well, I'm going to say 2 comments. One, it's a good thing you have an electrical engineer background, because if I was going through that, I'd probably have shocked myself somewhere in the process.
That's why you shut power off before you do anything.
Well, I just need to know. So, like, is it like a simple like a light switch, or is there like a two-handed
There is like a big lever like that. Yeah, all the power runs back to where the main power input for the building was. So there's like an HVAC unit over there and all kinds of other stuff, but I was able to find what breakers they were connected to, so I flipped all those breakers off, and then there was a big disconnect switch I turned off, so power was off.
Did you feel like you were
before I touched anything?
Did you feel like you were part of like Frankenstein, like pulling the levers?
That's how it feels. A lot of power.
Then the other thing I need to know: do you always carry a flathead screwdriver with you, or did you just happen to know you needed it?
No, I thankfully like thought ahead and looked at the manual to figure out how it was buttoned, like how it was screwed in there, and knew I needed an Allen wrench. But I'm like, I'm going to bring some other tools because I don't know where this Allen wrench is going to be. So luckily I had some forethought to bring some other tools with me to help out.
Good.
So
good, because I know some people will carry tools around just in case. So
right. I clearly need to, and not just normal tools, like advanced tools for reaching sockets.
Right. No more Allen wrenches.
Right.
Wow.
Jeez. So...
Well, what an adventure. No wonder why you got a ton of fresh air today.
I know, yeah. Yeah, we were talking before this, and I'm like coughing, as you can probably hear if we didn't cut any of it out. But I have pretty bad allergies, so I'm a little like stuffed up now, even though it's like nice out and like I should be fine. But
yeah.
It's all good.
And another thing I was thinking, it's a good thing those thunderstorms that came through yesterday are no longer, it was a beautiful day today. So
it was funny, and I timed it perfectly. When I pulled back into my garage, it immediately started raining. Like when I
today?
Today, down in Columbus at least.
Oh, so. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say it was like beautiful and sunny up here in Cleveland. So yeah, you definitely timed that perfectly.
Right, yeah. I would have left if it started raining, I think. So
Right, I'm done.
yeah, I'm out.
Leave the Allen wrench.
Right.
Oh, that sounds like quite the adventure.
Definitely. Yeah.
So do you have to do more of that, like, more frequently? Or is it just kind of like the example it was today?
that was more like probably me just being stubborn and upset with the contractor because they have been just slow to respond on things, and like just sometimes you don't get a good contractor, so whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys have done all you can. You're not going to be any more help getting this station online, so I'll just go out there and figure it out.
Yeah.
Because ideally we have that SIM card number ahead of time. I don't think we were very clear to them that like, hey, can you grab a picture of this before you install everything?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I just said I'll do it myself because it'll be quicker. So.
Well, I have one other Allen wrench comment. I was going to say, you mentioned they were slow to respond. It's because they're using Allen wrenches.
That's right, yeah.
It's
Just spending 4 hours out there trying to twist a little Allen wrench around.
Right. Man, I feel like if anybody's listening and you have a hate for Allen wrenches like I do, like, please let us know, because they frustrate me beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Funny.
Well, I'm glad that they'll be online soon. Can you let us know where they're located?
I'm not going to say, just for
Okay.
project.
Yeah,
like,
privacy.
Whatever. Yeah, privacy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
They will be
can-
public stations, though. I can say that. So
Oh, cool.
if you're
Okay.
in the area, you can probably go find them.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I guess I can say on the show that I'm going to be traveling to Arizona soon, labeling charging stations throughout Phoenix and the Grand Canyon.
That's awesome.
But that's pretty much the only details I can give right now. Definitely, we could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
Because
Can
I'll
you
be
say
driving.
anything about the, is it NADA conference?
Oh yeah.
say
Oh, the
anything on
NADA show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I could talk about that.
Okay. If you're cool
I-
with it. I don't want to like force you into talk about something if you don't want to. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just was thinking, I'm like, I don't think it's a privacy thing. So a few weeks ago, I attended the NADA show 2022 with ChargeWay. We are an affinity provider with the NADA, so it was really cool to get a chance to experience all the different vendors that offer some type of like dealership solution. And what was really cool is they had like a whole area for EV solutions where like dealers could come in and talk to like experts and kind of get more feedback on like how they could improve their business to sell electric vehicles.
right.
So ChargeWay had some beacons, or our kiosk, which are big touchscreens that have like our software on it. Got to do a ton of different demos. Got to watch my CEO and friend, Matt Teskey, do some live streams and live presentations. So that was pretty cool. But I think the coolest thing was the fact that they had like almost like a rainbow. It was shaped like a rainbow of all brand new EVs in one of the big auditoriums. We stumbled on it, and it was all new EVs that like are brand new to the market. So like they had the Hummer EV there, they had the BMW i4, the Mercedes EQS, they had the Genesis GV60, which is like the more luxurious version of the Ioniq 5 and EV6.
Yeah.
They had the ID4 wheel drive. I can't remember if I said that, but they had some really cool cars there. But the coolest thing is that just how the entire show was focused on electric vehicles and
That's
how
cool.
dealerships can prepare themselves to sell it.
Right.
Or to sell these products. So it was really cool to get a chance to meet these people who are passionate about making EVs, easier to own by consumers.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
Were those like demo cars you could sit in, or were they just like more like behind the
They
fence?
were locked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think the Hummer EV was a beta, like prototype.
Okay. Gotcha.
Which that was the second time I've seen it in person. I saw it at the Cleveland Auto Show, but having it in like an auditorium was even weirder because it's huge. Like, you've seen it, right?
I have not seen it, no. But
Oh.
even just in the pictures, you can tell how massive it is. Like,
It's ridiculous. It's huge. That battery pack itself, I think it's almost 200 kilowatt hours. So like it's a massive pack.
yeah.
But it was crazy. I think the car that surprised me most was the Genesis GV60 because I knew it was coming to the US, but I didn't expect to see it at the show.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see that in person.
That's
Get
really
a chance to see the design. But yeah, overall, Vegas was fun. I did the Tesla loop that went underground about like 12, maybe 14 times. I lost track.
Did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because where our hotel was, it was literally across the street, the first entrance to the Tesla loop.
Really?
And they only do it during conferences. So like you won't find hours online for like general public.
Okay.
But it's totally free, and you walk up under this massive solar canopy, and there's all these Model Ys, and you just open it and tell them where you want to go, and they'll just take you through the tunnels. And
wow. How many stops are there?
There's 3.
Okay, so there's one at the convention center, I assume. Do you know where the other 2 are?
So where we picked up the stop, it was the south end of the convention center, and then there's the north end. Like the convention center, if you walked it, it would take 30 minutes to get from one end to the other. Like it's huge.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The only thing that kind of surprised me about that is that I thought the Teslas were on autopilot. But they're not.
Yeah, I was under the impression they were on autopilot too, but they're not.
Yeah. Apparently the convention center doesn't want them to be at the moment. Which kind of surprised me. But it was really cool to like be, like in this huge tunnel, and like they're outside of each entrance. They had one of the boring machines, like I forget what it's not an Allen wrench. It's whatever cut through the ground. I forget what they call that.
Drill or something. I can't remember what they call it, but
I think it's a drill, but I think there's a more technical name for it.
Okay.
But like massive, and it was like the Boring Company. Like so, like it was really cool to see that in person. But that was our main transportation for the whole week. So like
That's neat.
Got a chance to use it pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like that kind of setup, like the underground car tunnels?
There was actually surprisingly a lot of controversy about it at the show, just because it is inefficient in terms of like funding. Like how people are spending the money. I loved it. I think it's a better, more private and safe way of transportation than say like a subway. It's definitely not efficient. Like, I mean, to only have like 4 people in a car versus like, 50 people on a train.
Right.
It was cool. And I know that there's talks about expanding it throughout Las Vegas. They're thinking of taking it all the way to the airport, which is about 3 miles from the convention. And then having a line that goes all the way to the Vegas Strip. So like they're planning on doing like a whole bunch of different tunnel systems.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say like a private travel experience, almost like a more like private Uber or something like that, where like you can hop in and go. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if it will be free forever, like if they expand it to that extent.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. And like everybody who I talked to, they didn't work for Tesla. They worked for the convention center, but they were all the drivers for the Teslas. So like they loved it. Like they were like, we get to blast music all day. Like, yeah.
Right. Well, the Boring Company is separate from Tesla, right? They're their own entity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But Elon is providing all the vehicles, and like I don't think like Tesla sponsors it, but like obviously.
There's some cross what's that even called?
Pollination,
cross coordination or something like that between the companies there.
Yeah.
I've always been like, the more I've kind of thought about it, I'm like, like the Boring Company, like at least their like strategy, I guess, I don't think is going to make a ton of sense long term. But now that you say it's like if it's like almost like a private subway in a way, like if you kind of treat it as like a more high end subway, then that could be a solution. But for a city that doesn't have mass transportation like that already, then it does. I don't think it makes a ton of sense. Like putting in a subway or a light rail or something like that makes more sense in my opinion.
Yeah. So. No, I agree. And have you been to Vegas before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's very like it's not as big as I thought it was going to be. Like
It's weird, yeah,
yeah,
because it's like everything's packed into this small little area, and then it's just
Yeah.
desert all the way around it.
Yeah.
Like you travel 5 miles out of town, and there's nothing.
yeah. So like I think it would make sense for like a smaller city to have like something like that, but like anything like the size of like New York or San Francisco or like the bigger cities,
Right.
I don't think it would work in that aspect.
Yeah.
But like Vegas is like a perfect example for that.
I think so. Yeah, where especially when there's kind of like hot spots in the city too, like the convention center, the airport, the strip.
Mhm.
Like there's kind of different hot spots where people want to go. So, and there's more money there that everybody's throwing around, so they could spend
Yes.
spend $100 on a private boring company
Right.
trip.
Exactly. But yeah, no, overall it was a great trip. So definitely. Looking forward to talking about the next trip with, on an episode, because I think there'll be a lot to chat about.
For sure.
Yeah.
So speaking, I was gonna transition to the EA lounges. Do you think that's a good transition there?
Yes, I definitely think so.
Okay. Yeah, so on the same topic of transportation, but I guess highway stops for EVs, Electrify America just announced today, I believe, they had an announcement to show off their kind of, what are they calling it here? Their concept charging station, like hub or charging hub. Basically turning a like group of fast chargers into more of like a lounge for people than a like gas station or something like that.
Yeah.
I did a terrible job explaining that.
It can only go up from here. No,
Right.
Yeah, it can only go up from here. So should we restart that section?
I'll let you do that because
Okay.
I feel like you've read it more than I have. I was like half reading the article and trying to explain it. I think we should keep this in, actually.
And I'm over here choking. Like,
yeah.
So while we're on the topic of basically changing transportation, as we're seeing it happen in real time with things like the Boring Tunnel, the Vegas Loop, and we're seeing it a lot with Tesla superchargers, as well as like other companies have announced very similar concepts. Electrify America today announced a new charging lounge concept, as well as new hardware. So to start off with the charging lounge, basically it is a area where there is a plethora of fast charging stations that resemble pretty much what you would see like at a travel center. Like similar to like what you would see like either on the turnpike, where there's a place to grab some food, to relax, stretch your legs, just while your car is charging. And what's really cool about this is that it is set up very similar to like what you would experience at a gas station. So it should be a very, very similar experience. But what's so cool about this is that Electrify America is introducing new hardware that only has a CCS connector on it. So we will no longer be seeing dual connectors on their charging stations. I'm not sure if they're going to retrofit the old ones. Probably not. I feel like that would
doubt
be
it. A lot of times
bad investment.
A lot of times it's ends up spending like way more money to retrofit things than just install new ones. So
yeah. Yep.
There was that chain last week. Somebody was saying we should retrofit all V2 superchargers to V3, and I'm like, I don't think you understand how much construction goes into retrofitting electrical gear. Like, you might as well just put new plugs in.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah.
So,
like, if they're still serving a purpose, just leave them.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely fine, I think, in conversation to, like, think of ideas like that. But if they're still working, yeah. I mean, what's really cool, and, we'll include some photos in the YouTube video version of this, but to describe it for people who are listening, there's massive solar canopies with a bunch of fast chargers. And to me, it actually looks like a fancy restaurant, like the way that things are set up.
They did an awesome job with these renders because they look like it looks like somewhere you want to stop.
Yes.
Like, I feel like gas stations sometimes are like, I don't know if I want to actually like stop here, but I have to because I got to fuel up. Like these look like a high-end lounge you want to go check out. So
Yeah, which is really cool. And I think my favorite thing about this concept is that there's a sign that as you're driving down the street, you can see how many chargers are available.
Right.
And like from a signage perspective, just to have something like that, that's going to change things. Because
Absolutely.
like in our Teslas, we have like the 7 out of 8 stations are
Right.
available on the touchscreen. But like to be driving down a street, you see gas prices.
Yeah.
Why can't we have that for chargers? So
Definitely.
I think that's pretty cool. One other thing, I want to mention is that they are planning on only putting these in certain locations.
Right.
Santa Barbara, San Francisco, San Diego, Beverly Hills, California, as well as New York. So Manhattan and Brooklyn.
There you go.
But hopefully they expand to other cities as well, because it would be pretty cool to see that.
I definitely think we're going to need, like, that's a huge thing that people bring up is like, I've literally never seen a charging station. How am I supposed to like go charge my car if I don't even know where they're at? And I think just something like this brings a lot of visibility to EVs so that people know like, oh, the infrastructure is out there. I can like, it's going to work.
Yeah.
Like I can actually go charge somewhere and I can travel certain places. Like just the visibility and kind of the optics of that is huge. I think that's like almost as big as just putting this in the first place.
I think my favorite thing about this is that I felt like when Electrify America was first announced, a lot of people just thought, okay, this is created from the Dieselgate scandal. This is all it is. But the fact that like Electrify America is becoming one of the largest networks in the entire United States,
right.
Outside of Tesla, and they're introducing concepts like this to make it easier to own electric vehicles. I'm very impressed. I mean, before we got our Tesla, they were pretty much the only stations we charged at.
Yeah.
And 98% of the time, it was a great experience.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's so funny that they're now gonna like this is gonna be a very profitable and like good business for them coming out of the Dieselgate thing, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But anyway, good for them.
Times are changing.
I always try to I try not to be too negative either, because like clearly there's a lot of like good people working at this company that like had nothing to do with that, so like they should not be dinged for something that happened with Dieselgate. So definitely props to EA for coming out with this. One thing I did notice is you mentioned the sign. It doesn't look like it has price on there. It looks like it only has number of stations, but maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the sign in one of these renderings, because there's like 1 and then a 5 next to it, but then the sign above it says 350. Yeah. So I don't know if that's supposed to be 150 and it was just like overlooked when they were doing it, but
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't see anything about pricing. It probably would be good to have something like that.
I know the Electrify America pricing is super complicated too. You probably have a better idea of that than I do, but isn't there like multiple tiers depending if you pay a monthly fee or not, and like all kinds of extra stuff? Like it can be kind of complicated.
Yeah, believe it or not, there's actually only two payment options. Like well, technically 3 if the vehicle offers like free charging or like some type of like incentive plan. But there is a rate that if you're not a member, and then there is a rate if you are a member, and I believe it's the same across the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Unlike Tesla, which I know why they do it, because certain states are different from each other. But it'd be nice if it was a little consistent.
Right. Definitely.
So
you're saying pricing is different across, or is the same for all EA stations, no matter where they're at?
From my understanding and like my experience.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because electric rates vary wildly state to state sometimes. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I will definitely have to double check on that, but I'm positive based on, my job and like the personal experience. But I know that it does vary, but I can definitely confirm. And
interesting.
I'll pin the comment on YouTube if I got it wrong. So
once we figure it out, either Brandon was right or Brandon was wrong.
Right. We should make that like a future like game in a Living Electric. Was Brandon right or wrong?
Brandon right.
Right.
Like the crowd yelling.
Right.
That's funny. I did know Tesla's like they constantly are updating their pricing. Like they're all the time, I feel like.
Always
So,
changing. Yeah.
I have a bunch of free supercharging, so I haven't looked at at charging usage in a while. And I'm kind of like upset that I'm gonna have to start paying for it, just because I'm so used to it. November of 2023 is when all my miles expire, and I've got over 170,000 miles to drive.
Wow.
to try to use them up, which I'm not gonna hit. Like that's just not realistic.
Yeah. Well, I say get driving.
I've been trying to, yeah. The nice thing is, like, if I drive for work, or YouTube, honestly, it's a tax write-off, and I get the full amount. Yeah. But since I don't pay for charging, like, it's essentially like money back in my pocket most of the time. Because, I mean, there's tire wear and other stuff too, but like the flat rate, like, definitely makes more money than loses money.
Yeah. I will say we tried supercharging twice since we got our car, and we tried a V3 supercharger recently, and I was literally plugged in for 5 minutes, and it was like $3, and I'm like, we didn't have to plug in, but I'm like, this is so expensive. Yeah. So
it's those demand charges.
Yeah. Sorry, I just thought I saw a spider fall from the ceiling. I was like.
That's right. We haven't had a mishap yet, like last time, where my mic freaked out and we started flickering. You sent me that clip. I was dying. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
I need to post that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I've been meaning to. Yeah, that was so funny.
That's definitely one for TikTok.
Yes.
We created a Living Electric podcast TikTok, so make sure you follow us there if you're on TikTok. We haven't posted anything, but the best content from EV podcasts is coming to our TikTok. So make sure you follow.
Yep. Things about Allen wrenches. Well, the last piece of news, do you have a news article?
No, go for it.
Okay. So
story.
this is exciting. I mean, obviously the last episode we announced that we returned our Chevy Bolt, and we're still fans of General Motors because we want all electric vehicles to succeed.
Right.
Their second vehicle based on the Ultium battery platform went into production this week. It is the all new Cadillac Lyriq.
Yes. That is very exciting.
Yes.
It looks much better than the prototype I saw testing in Michigan. So,
could you imagine if that was the final one?
Oh my gosh, looked like something out of like the '70s Star Wars versus like something from the future.
Right.
No, it looks really good, and definitely props to GM for getting this up and running in Tennessee too.
Yeah,
built in America.
Yeah. Built in America. Yep. So the Hummer EV is built in Michigan, and the Lyriq is built in Tennessee. GM is doing another Ultium battery factory, I believe, in Tennessee. The one in Ohio is up and running, which is super exciting.
Yes.
And I mean, the fact that like GM is turning around so quickly and making these vehicles, it's really impressive. And to me, it shows dedication that they're learning from what happened with the Bolt,
right,
and improving.
Yeah, I don't think they have a choice really, but to turn it around and really like kind of dig in and figure out what's going to work. But yeah, they definitely seem to be bouncing back well from the Bolt, and hoping their new vehicles do well. I know this Cadillac will probably be pretty popular based on what I've seen about it.
Yeah, GM confirmed that they are going to be producing 200,000 annually of the Lyriq. To meet demand, because I guess the first debut edition, which is like the first edition of the vehicle, sold out in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So there's a lot of demand for this car.
Interesting.
And it's supposed to start at under 60,000, which I think is pretty impressive for a electric SUV.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm curious how big it is, because I've noticed that with a lot of the SUVs is they'll call them SUVs, but they're more like crossover sized or smaller. So because it looked kind of Model Y sized when I saw it in person, or Mach-E sized. So definitely not like full size SUV, and I don't think we've seen that from anybody really yet. But
except for Rivian,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there R1S shipped at all? I haven't seen.
They've only delivered 2 of them.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So it should be interesting once we start seeing those boxy SUVs out there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It's got an 80 amp onboard charger.
Yeah,
Up to 19.2 kW. That's pretty
Yep.
good.
Yeah. So that's the same. It doesn't have the same battery size as the Hummer EV, but the Ultium battery platform, I believe, regardless of kilowatt hours, can charge at 19.2 max AC charging, which is really impressive. Honestly, that's
Right.
almost fast charging. So
Yeah, that's around the cutoff generally is about 20 kW. So that's really cool.
yeah. Should be nice, about 300 miles of charge. You get that really nice 33-inch curved screen, which is really cool.
Yeah, it definitely looks like if Cadillac made a concept future vehicle.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I think the styling is good for what's worked for them in the past.
Yeah, I am excited to see that hit the road.
Definitely. Cool.
And
Anything else? Any other news stories? Do you
No.
want me to do you want to talk about one more, or you want to be done?
Oh, I mean, do you have one?
Just the two I had in my Discord that I found this week.
Yeah. You said you didn't have any.
Well, I wanted you to go first.
Oh.
I'm not sure how long we would
You're-
talk about the Lyriq. So
Such a gentleman. Yeah, I mean, that's all we had about the Lyriq. Hopefully
Okay.
we can do a video with one soon.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been looking for new tires recently for my car, and I cannot find the Michelin tires I want in stock anywhere. I want those cross climate 2s. Have you seen those before?
Yeah, I have seen those. Yeah.
They're super highly rated. They seem to be a solid all around tire, and they're all season in case I don't want to put winter tires on again. But basically, I've got 2 sets of rims. I've got the one on my car right now, and I've got some black powder coated rims that I won from Test Bros that have been sitting in my garage for over a year now. Finally going to get them on my car soon. I hired somebody to come out and ceramic coat them first though, so they're going to stay nice and clean. And but I'm trying to find tires to put on them. That's been my big thing. So I was searching, and I didn't realize Pirelli made electric specific tires that have they call it their Elect series.
Never heard of it.
I believe they come standard on the Lucid Air. That's the tires it comes with.
Cool.
So they have a performance tire that they released, I think, last year, and they just released the all-season version of it. It's called the Pirelli P0. So I'm trying to find these tires if I can. I don't know if I believe they're going to be coming my size, but they've got they've tested them and designed them to increase range, to have a lower rolling resistance, and they've also added some better kind of noise dampening, so they don't make as much noise when they're spinning as well. So really
cool.
thought about kind of those 2 aspects when designing the tire. So
Yeah.
it looks pretty cool. It's the P0 is the name of the tire, and then they've got the performance that they already released, like I said, and the all season is what I'm looking to buy. So, and prices seem good too. They weren't crazy high price. They were just kind of normal tires. So
Yeah, I've never heard of these before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, you kind of nailed it with that the last comment that you made, how they have more insulation or whatever they utilize
the
noise cancel. Yeah, because with electric vehicles, they don't produce engine sounds, and obviously the vibrations you don't get either. So you hear a lot more. So
right.
If you have a bad set of tires, you're going to hear the road the entire time.
Yep.
So yeah, that should definitely help. Yeah, if you end up getting those on those rims, let me know, because we will come down and I want to experience that, because if that makes the ride quieter,
right,
I'm sure Tyler will jump on that.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll have to reach out to some tire shops and see if they're even going to carry these or where I can buy them, because anywhere I looked, they weren't in stock anywhere, or at least they didn't even list them on their website. It didn't even show as out of stock. So, but those are the ones I'm looking for. So Pirelli, if you're listening, send me some tires and we'll make a video.
Right. Yes. And support Living Electric, or sponsor us. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I have the winter tires on now, and they make this like, it actually kind of sounds cool because it adds like you can kind of hear the spinning, and it almost sounds like an electric motor when I'm like speeding up. So
yeah,
that's kind of cool on the winter tires. So it doesn't really bother me too much, but I could see how it could get annoying. So
I remember when we had winter tires on the Bolt, if you were like on a nice smooth like patch of road, it sounded like a spaceship. Like it was like a nice hum.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't mind it.
I didn't either. So okay.
Well, I'm curious about the last news story.
Do you want to? I was going to save that one because that's a little bit more in depth. It was talking about our EVs like actually cheaper than gas, and like
okay.
The big thing with a lot of these studies and the things that they show is that they always assume that you're paying like commercial or public charging rates, not home rates where most of the charging is done. Whereas obviously if you spend more on the vehicle than you would normally spend to get an EV in the same class, you spend more than usual electricity rates out in public charging your car. And all of that considered, you're going to end up paying more. Like that's if you define those, like if you define it that way, of course you're going to pay more. But there's no equivalent. That's the thing. Like with gas, like there's no home version of gas fueling. So
But the only thing I could think of is like natural compressed gas, because like I know you can get like fueling stations put in your house.
Yeah,
but that's not.
Even
you want to
that,
actually?
Like, it's just not similar enough. I feel like.
Yeah, you want to know what we should do? Actually, that would be a really cool episode. Is we should get our utility bills and like break it down on an episode about like how expensive it actually costs for us to charge a car for like a month.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. We my garage isn't metered, but I could still do the calculation to say like, oh, it costs this much per kilowatt hour. My car added about this much of charging. Like, here's what it cost me.
Do you have it put in the Tesla app, like the charge stats?
Yes, but I set my home charging to 0 because I don't pay anything.
So basically, this is not no. Yeah, the one thing I hate about it is that it takes into account supercharger like costs, and you can't filter out home charging because since our charger is not like a smart charger, I was hoping to keep track of what our home charging was, and since we charge at a supercharger, it
doesn't show you like
thing.
home charging was X% or X amount.
Yeah.
You could just do the math, I guess, if you do like the total times point whatever for your percentage. You could do that.
Hate math. No.
Yeah, mine says I don't know if I have autofocus. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, sweet.
$8.
Oh, $8 for 539 kilowatt hours.
Right.
That's impressive.
Which is dirt cheap.
How's your new phone, by the way?
I'm liking it. The biggest annoying thing is the network doesn't seem to be very good.
Really?
Which is weird because my old phone had no problems. But I also didn't put the SIM card they gave me in here because I don't like messing with SIM cards. I just pop my old one in here.
So the moral of the entire episode it goes back to SIM cards.
I didn't realize I did that.
Yeah. We're just bringing it back around.
Just bringing it back around.
Yeah. Well, hopefully maybe a software update or a firmware update will fix that.
They just pushed one. I still got to update it. I'm so bad with software updates too. Yeah. My computer is still like it's been pending an update for like 2 months. Still updated it.
Jeez. So. Well, there's new emojis if you download the new Mac OS. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, they're great. But yeah, I'm good with news stories. I don't have any other ones.
Okay. All right. I think we'll wrap it up there. I got a couple of these articles. I've been dropping them in my Discord. Brandon and I were talking about that off air before the podcast, but I'll link to my Discord in the show notes. So if you do want to join my Discord and drop any podcast suggestions in there, if you don't feel like either DMing us or something like that, if that's a little easier for you, definitely feel free to drop them in there. But any other stories you want to share with us or EV related or car related or whatever, send them our way and we'll chat about them. Give our professional opinion.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Cool. We'll talk to you all in the next episode. Take care.